everybody. It's Thursday.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And we are super excited to be talking with you guys tonight about the expo that's coming up this weekend. But before we get to that, we have other things to be talking about.
Other things like what?
Well, we always start with, an ice report, a fishing report, talking about all that good stuff. And actually, I feel like this week, it's kind of a bonus report because this past weekend we went to, 2-3 different locations, I guess we covered.
Well, you covered 2. I covered 1. But I hit mine all weekend. I was up with some work friends up by Pelican Lake. I wasn't on Pelican Lake. I was up by Pelican Lake in just north of Anago. And we did a bunch of tip-up fishing, which is not normal for me. I'm one of, I like to run around and then finally sit down and catch fish eventually towards the evening. But no, so we had a good weekend. It was a really crazy weather with snow squalls and negative temperatures and 30 degrees, and it was crazy. So caught some walleyes. That was fun. And yeah. I don't know, just a fun time hanging out with the boys from work.
And you guys had, kind of tougher conditions for moving around in anyways, because you had quite a bit more snow than what we had kind of down south. So I was in, the Winnebago County, Shawano area, a little bit south of that, and all the way down to Winnebago for Battle on Bago. And the conditions that we saw were honestly, due to those winds, just glare ice out there. So make sure that you have your spikes on, your cleats, that you're like good to go. Because honestly, it sounds crazy, but that wind can be ferocious when you're out there without the block of trees and other things like that. And with that, we all kind of heard that there was a lot of different things that happened along with Battle on Bago. You had mentioned the snow squall. And, I think that there's a lot of first timers out there that tried to kind of hang out through the evening. And that definitely was kind of a crazy situation. But the rest of the days seemed to go very smooth. And after the Battle on Bago, I got to sneak out to kind of one of our favorite backwater spots on the Wolf River system. And I did find a few crappies. So kind of fun to get out there with the dog. You were still traveling, so we missed you, but we came home early because honestly, again, that wind was crazy. I was trying to take a video because in the hole you could see like the waves, but my phone died.
Yeah, she said her phone died. I called, just hey, should I come down there?
She just I'd already gotten crappie pictures.
Answer
we
the
were
phone.
Good.
She didn't answer.
Oh my gosh.
Look at Ryan saying that you need to have your cleats because it was glare ice for Battle on Bago.
Yeah.
Eric's running into some of that thunder snows.
Ice. Yikes.
And
I guess that's a really great point is, even though it is the end of February and people think February and thick ice, one of the things about this is the conditions are changing. We have had those warm days mixed in. We have had these other conditions mixed in. And, take all those things into consideration when you're, driving out on the ice. I saw still, fishing clubs on Winnebago are posting about honestly, big holes are opening up. I guess that was something that I was a little bit surprised to see. But again, when that information is available and out there, make sure that you are checking into that because that's why they put that out there.
Yeah, I'll agree with you, Ryan.
Go home. Send us the other version of winter.
Oh, hey, one last cast on. How you guys doing? Can't wait to see you. And we're going to stop by your booth. And that's actually
a great segue. Yeah. So we will see them actually at Wisconsin Fishing Expo, which is coming up this weekend. And we are actually here with Don today to talk all about that. So thanks for being here.
Hey, Don.
Hey, no problem. I'm super excited.
Yeah. Gosh, we are so excited too. The event starts tomorrow. And it's not often that we get to, be in our home studio and still, the event is so close.
Yeah, normally I'm up in your neck of the woods, up by you, but I'm actually down in Madison now. We will be starting literally in just a few hours in the pre-dawn to move in. I think the count is maybe just over 100 boats, and then all of the other exhibits. And we do that the day of the show. It's been that tradition for almost 40 years, and so it makes the first day a little gnarly, a little crazy. But we always get it done, and of course it helps tremendously on the rent. So we try to make it light and tight like that, and we'll be ready to rock tomorrow at 3:00.
Actually, that's an amazing thing, is to recognize that all of those booths move in that very morning. Because if you are one of those people that's lucky enough to show up Friday, it is going to be a full expo. You don't walk into people setting up, everything is ready to go and it is full. And there is a lot of boats and stuff there. So that is an amazing thing to think that all those people drag that in tomorrow.
Yeah. We have a video from a couple of years ago. One of our guys actually just set a video up on a tripod and recorded the whole thing. And when you play it fast, it looks like ants on a hill, literally going from the bare floor, and all of the pipe and drape comes up, and then stuff starts rolling in. And it is pretty amazing. It's, more than 150,000 square feet of exhibits. We pretty much use up the whole Alliant Energy Center Expo Hall. And if you enjoy angling of any type, if you're any type of a fisherman or wish to become some type of a fisherman, we've got something for you to look at. In fact, this year we even have an outfitter from Mexico, so we even have the saltwater angle covered this year, which isn't normally part of our assortment. But so we literally, I think, have something for everybody, and not just a single something. If there's a wide variety of outfitters, of seminars, of techniques, of education, of kids' experiences. And I think that's why most people, when they come to the expo, they find it difficult to get it all in a single visit, in a single day, just because of the wide variety of things that we try to bring together under one roof for folks.
And one of the best ways to be able to take in as much expo as possible is bring the family. Because if you don't have people that you have to rush off to make dinner time somewhere, if you can come all together, that is one of the really fabulous things about the expo. First of all, is that there is a ton of, I guess I was going to say family friendly, if you have a wife, there's stuff that she might like. If you have kids, there is a whole kids zone. If you're there for fishing, obviously that's why everybody's there, but a lot of great offerings for that.
Well, one of my favorite booths too is the bow fishing booth. That's they have a really neat spot tucked kind of in one of the back hallways, and it's really cool. You get to stand up on a half a boat and shoot at targets, and if you want to learn more, there's a bunch of really cool professionals there, and a guide service, I believe, sits at the booth too. And they tell you all about that sport. And so it's really cool to be able to go from, this year we get saltwater fishing, but normally it's you go all the way from ice fishing all the way to bow fishing and a bunch of stuff in between.
Yeah, you guys hit on a couple of the great examples of things that we have in the various kids zone activities, whether it be the interactive bow fishing exhibit, the classic trout pond, where kids and adults can actually catch real live fish. If you catch a tagged one, then you win a prize to boot. And I should point out, you can fish catch and release, or you can keep your catch. So you literally, if you did well, you could take home dinner from the trout pond. Then there's other kids specialty activities like that all throughout. This year we brought in a new activity, bumper boats, which I think that's just going to be a blast, obviously for the young people. And of course we brought back fish bingo this year. So the first 500 kids that come each day get a bingo card as they come through the entrance, and then they're going to be led throughout the exhibits in the hall. They get their card stamped, and then they can turn that in at booth number 202, 204, which is our Slinger High School fishing team. So a bunch of young people that they'll be able to turn their card into, and they're going to get a prize package. It includes a Fresh Outdoor News, junior pro team information, some gummy candy, and a lure from Little Cleo, and temporary tattoo, just a whole bunch of cool stuff for basically just paying attention and working their way through the expo. So I think that's going to be a huge amount of entertainment. It was really popular when we brought it out back in 2020, and we're excited with all of the partners that are helping make that happen as kids wind their way through the show.
That was really fun that first year you had it, and the amount of kids that were able to go through and find it all, and they were so happy. I think some of them were even more happy to finish their card than they were to actually get the prize at the end. But yeah, no, it was a really fun game.
It's an achievement on both ways. Yeah, for sure.
And Ryan has one of the questions here that matters most. Obviously, he's asking, are kid adults allowed to play bumper boats?
It's a brand new exhibit, and so that's actually a question I haven't been asked yet. But based strictly on the size, I'm going to guess that there's probably a weight restriction or a size restriction. So if Ryan, hopefully Ryan is maybe like, let's say 12 or under or 10 or under, Ryan, you're good to go. If Ryan looks like me, probably not so much.
Well, if it's not very deep, maybe I'll just walk around in there and they can bump off me. That'll be fun enough.
Way back when we brought this exhibit to the Alliant officials, there was discussions of lifeguard stations, and fortunately we beat that back. The pool is not deep enough to require lifeguard stations, but I think it's still going to be a ton of fun for the littles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't push the luck. Yeah. Josh shows up with waiters tomorrow. Yeah.
My wings.
Oh my gosh. Checking in a little bit earlier, we had Corey saying should have gotten a booth for Macula Tackle. We do have a whole bunch of booths. So Dan is checking in saying 298 vendors. And so that really is amazing. So I guess as a fabulous side note, if there are other, great tackle companies or products or people or things or, all kinds of stuff, lots of people come to expos. Yeah, or come to next year's, Fishing Expo, because even though this year's starts tomorrow and goes through this weekend, there are always future options. So if you are looking, come and check it out this year. Come see, because it's a ton of fun. But then definitely get a hold of Don and Dan and all of these guys and see what we can make happen for the future. So if anybody also has other questions about vendors or things like that, ask us. Let's see who's going to be there.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that 100%. If there are people that are vendors that are listening to this broadcast right now, or people that know people, we try to keep the show office staff the entire time that we're there, and actually well before and a little after. And I'd love to talk to people. Please bring it on in. Happy to talk about not only this year's show, if there's questions, that's what we're there for, but future shows, be it this fall's Ice Fishing Expo in Oshkosh that we're working on, or next year's Fishing Expo. We're always happy to entertain conversations with potential new vendors. That's exactly what keeps the show fresh.
Yeah. And Ray's getting excited. He's asking what's the hour. Sounds like he's planning to come. Can you remind us what those do you
Yeah.
I didn't put you on the spot. I didn't prepare.
I know in my heart. No problem at all. Tomorrow on Friday will be 3:00 in the afternoon until 8 in the evening. On Saturday, we open the doors again at 9 and we'll run until 7. And then on Sunday, we start again at 9 and the show concludes at 4. And if those sound like long hours, Alliant offers an amazing array of concessions. I'm also told that they serve beer, which I've never been told where that is. Something about my bosses not wanting me too close to the beer. But I'm told that there is beer. And, so, there's kids refreshments, there's adult refreshments. In addition to the concessions that Alliant offers, we actually have some pretty amazing food booths, in amongst our regular vendors as well. Starless Seasoning comes to mind right away. Traveling Nuts, John's Market from down in Chicago way. So there's all kinds of things to eat and drink between the vendors that are there, and then the concessions that the venue actually offers as well.
Yeah, and the concessions and everybody, you see everybody walking around with the beers and the bloodies and the snacks and whatnot. But there's also some really cool, besides going there to buy stuff, there's really cool informational booths down there too. There's a couple different summer camps. So if your kids are interested in doing like outdoor summer camp type stuff, the Wisconsin DNR they pull in their fish trailer. And so that's a really cool attraction. It's something where they go out and they are able to get a bunch of species of fish from, I think it's the Wisconsin River they pull them from. And you can go up and see them. It's super cool just to be able to go up there. Some of them are pretty big. Last time there was a goldfish, so that was pretty crazy. So that's a cool one. There's the booth about lampreys in the Great Lakes. So that take your time, go through, because there's some really cool stuff, and there's a lot of people to answer questions about stuff between like boats, kayaks. The pontoons. Angler Quest has a really cool fishing pontoon, like it's fishing centric pontoon. So it's one that I've had my eye on for a long time, but it's like I gotta get a lake house first.
No, you're absolutely correct. We've actually got some new exhibits that way between the Outdoor Education Heritage Center. They're bringing in 2 different exhibit trailers with interactive displays that people can mess with. And of course, the legacy of the Fishing Expo really goes back to its nonprofit roots as the Madison Fishing Expo from almost 40 years ago. So we have scores of nonprofits that are sprinkled all throughout the show, be they vets groups, Take Vets Fishing. There's different bass clubs. And of course, I mentioned the Slinger High School group. We've got a couple of young people that have a fly tying business that gives back to the community. I can't even mention them all, but there's just a wide variety. To your point, Josh, it's not just about, come and buy. It's come and see and do a ton of interactive experiences. And that's without even mentioning the fact that all day long, every day, we've got an amazing array of seminar speakers, from Greg Karch with Fishing 101 and Fishing 201, which are youth-oriented activities, where not only do you get to learn a ton from Greg Karch, who's just an amazing, amazing fishing educator, to some of these traveling tournament pros. Ish Monroe is coming back, a huge name, a national, almost a celebrity level fisherman, to the Shakurit, father and son team on the bass and walleye circuits. My good friend Tom Keenan. Tom, I've known almost half my life. He's being inducted into the National Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame at our event, and then going to give a seminar about walleye fishing. He's freshly retired from the walleye circuit. As he reminds me all the time, he's made somewhere north of $1.2 million or some darn thing fishing, and so that's just a tiny little slice. I would encourage people to go in and look at. Obviously, if you look at our Facebook feed, you've seen all of the seminars that we feature there, but they all can be found in one place on our website as well, wifishingexpo.com. The whole interactive list is in there. And it frankly may adjust when you want to come or how many times you want to come. Because there's so many great speakers each day, you may need to tailor your visit to make sure that you're able to pick up those pieces as well. It's kind of like planning your visit to the mall around the movie you want to see or something like that.
Yeah, and we actually had Captain Greg on last week on this show. He was telling us all about kind of what the Learn to Fish with Us organization is all about, and that is a really cool thing that he runs. You guys give him a space back in the back corner. The kids are able to go back there. He teaches them like knots, like on a super big scale, so it's really easy for them to learn
and fun.
and it's like away from the crowd, away from the adults, so like kids don't have to feel nervous or anything, and they have a big open room that you're able to shut the doors on, that they're able to like engage and learn about the fishing stuff, and that's really cool.
Yep, it's crazy. There's a limit of 100 participants each session, which sounds like you'd never get there, but I'm telling you folks, get there early. don't think you're going to walk in at 2 minutes to and be one of the 100. They're very popular, and that's why we have them scheduled several times over the weekend, just because there is such a demand, because he does such a fine job.
Yeah.
Well, and with that, he was, describing that kind of next level course that he's also offering this time, and I know that we so often talk about youth and children and the youngsters, but especially that next level course, you are an adult. He was talking about, covering things like trolling. That in itself is an awesome topic that we could probably all learn something from. Like, I'm sitting here like, I wonder if I could sneak into that, because just to hear about what he has to say. So I love that that's, applying to, even maybe that youth that grew up in that youngster class that's now kind of aging up into those next few things. I love that they can get that next bit of information.
Yeah, and I'm afraid, Emily, that you have way too many things to do as the Prize Patrol Queen. No soup for you. No seminars for you, Emily. You'll be too busy hunting people down for Prize Patrol.
Oh, yeah, that's a really great point, actually. So, I guess for people who have never heard about that, can you tell us what that is?
Sure. Yeah, our intrepid Crappie Junction hosts also have a secret job. They are like what's that, like Batman and Bruce Wayne. So sometimes they are Crappie Junction and sometimes they're the Prize Patrol. And so they'll be roaming around the expo halls, and we have just an amazing this year array of Prize Patrol items donated by our vendor community. And I almost hate to start to list them just because I'll end up giving someone the short shrift accidentally. But there are rods, there is fishing tackle, there is amazing apparel, there are guided fishing trips. We've got at least a couple that we're giving away guided fishing trips through the Prize Patrol, where Josh and Emily just walk up to you and shebang, there you are. And so it's kind of like a lottery, only it's secret, like secret random lottery, like, hey, you're a winner, but I didn't buy a ticket. And so if you're there, you could be a winner. They'll be doing that all over the course of the weekend. And it's something that we've done for quite a while, but it kind of seems like it's taken on a life of its own over the last couple of cycles. And this year, the vendors have really been amazing. People are just going to be blown away. And of course, if you win, we're going to ask you to say a few words, and maybe we'll swing you over to that vendor's booth where they can give you the high five and talk a minute about their cool products. Obviously, that's part of the incentive for the vendor community. But what an amazing deal! I can't think of another show out there that I've ever been to where somebody could just walk up to you randomly and shebang, you're a winner. So that's something else cool for people to look forward to as they visit the show.
Well, and I'm going to add to that. So Emily and I, we were so excited about the whole Prize Patrol thing. And the last time we were able to do it, it was so much fun. And we gave away so many cool things, and people were so happy. But the problem is that there's a limited number of prizes, right? And so we put in a couple extra hours in our basement, and we have our little prize pack of our own for kids. And so we'll be wearing an orange backpack, and it'll be full of plastic, little packages of plastics, but there's one color in there that's different than all the rest of them. And that's going to win you the Striker Transporter rod bag. So if you have a kid and you see the orange backpack floating around, because she'll probably be wearing it, come over, they'll either pull out a bobber or plastic, and it might be the one for the transporter bag. So that's going to be fun too. So we can give stuff away all weekend.
That's
so
true.
awesome.
So in that backpack, lots of different options for plastics, pinks and oranges and all different colors. And honestly, a lot of things that we even fish with sometimes, but one of those
all
packages
crappie
is
plastics.
chartreuse. Yeah. Yeah. So especially if you are a crappie fisherman, come and say hello. And let's see who wins that, because that'll be fun.
I can't wait. I don't even know where I know it's in there. I put it in there, but I don't know where it is now. It's all mixed up.
I'm having a vision of me needing to source a bodyguard for Crappie Junction for 2023. I'm seeing a future vision where you have people hunting you down.
Oh, that's one of the best parts. When we were asked by you guys to come help with the show and be part of it, we were super excited. And every year it seems like more and more people come up and just want to chat, and it makes our days go really fast, honestly, and it's super fun, and then I get characters like our buddy Ryan asked me if I'm going to noodle trout out of the fish pool.
Never know what happens before the show. If it happens,
I can add that to our video shot list. Is Josh noodling some trout?
Hey, you guys might be surprised. That's my job, so I better be good at it.
I don't know what the trout pond guy is going to think about that, but maybe we buy him a beer and just get a few moments alone with the pond.
I don't know. That might take a couple of years.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. We kind of went on a whole long kind of conversation there, but we were talking about these seminars, and I guess I did have another thought about the seminars. Aside from the range of different options of things that you can hear about, one of my favorite things about that is, at the end, a lot of them leave, the speakers leave time for questions. And so, it's cool to come and see the names and hear the things and, be in the room with some of the people that you see on social media or even TV media or beyond. But when you can actually ask a question or talk to them or, things like that, gosh, I think that's one of the things that people always leave just super excited about.
Yeah, and a number of these speakers will end up going back to a booth. they have a sponsor or someone that helped us to bring them in. And a lot of times I've seen them go right back to the booth and be able to spend some additional quality time. Eventually they have to clear out of the room because we have someone else that'll be coming in to speak. But to your point, a lot of times that informal conversation can be as good or better than the formal presentation, and then the opportunity to interact, and just kind of rub elbows with some of these folks that have been able to take their love of fishing to another level.
Well, and that's a great point, because we were just maybe last week we talked to our buddy Matt Steffen from the what is that now, the Tackle Warehouse Pro Tour by MLF. He'll be at the phone case booth. So he's a tournament bass guy, and he's actually just from Stevens Point, and he's super cool. He has a great YouTube. He does a lot of teaching on there, so lots of tips and tricks on the Matt Steffen Fishing YouTube. But he'll actually be there, and he's
Friday.
Yeah, and one really cool thing that we have in common with Matt is that we're all rod builders. So if you have questions about rod building, I'm sure he'd be tickled to talk to you about that, because unless you watch the show, probably nobody else is going to ask him about rod building.
Very good.
Gosh, I'm reading through some of the comments. People seem super excited. Dana's bringing up a really great point. I believe it's on Sunday. High school WIFA conference sponsored by Daiwa. So Daiwa will be there. They always bring a great crew. So you mentioned Ish Monroe is coming. And what can you tell us about the conference?
Well, yeah, that's a really special deal. So we've made arrangements with WIFA to bring in basically their state conference will be coming in. And so early on Sunday morning, these high school fishing teams and their coaches have been invited to come in kind of in a private event. And we've got a couple of seminars lined up for them to help them learn more about, future potential careers in fishing or the marine industry, and fishing techniques and just what it means to be a pro. We're really excited about that, not only because of Daiwa's involvement in it, but just the fact that, to your previous point, Josh and Emily, we're helping these young folks to find their way in this sport, in this pursuit, in this industry. I've been very fortunate. I basically worked since just a couple of years after I got out of college in the outdoors industry in one way or another. And I get asked that question all the time, like, how did that come to be? How did it happen? Well, a lot of it is luck, but another part of it is kind of knowing where can I get my foot in the door? How does that happen? And I'm sure you guys would agree. So sometimes it's luck, but it requires determination, and it also requires a little bit of an idea of how to take that next step. And so some of these pieces that'll be brought together for those high school teams, and it's a big group. I think there might be 200 youths participating in that, plus their coaches on Sunday morning. We're really excited about that for the first year, and hopeful that maybe it will continue to grow, because it certainly is a great demographic to encourage and build for those young people, at that high school age, what could be super formative for them. I mean, literally, potentially life-changing conversations about what they want to do as they start to grow up.
Yeah.
And then if there is, somebody, a youth that's listening to this right now and they're like, wow, that's cool, I want to come. Is that something that you can show up to, or you have to be part of a high school team and pre-signed up?
It is a private event. So you have to be part of one of these WIFA high school fishing teams. But I would suggest that if you're interested in that sort of thing and there's not a team at your school, why don't you plan to swing by the show office, and we will do our best to take your information and see if we can't get you hooked up with someone. Maybe there's a team nearby that you might be able to tack on with for the future, or see what we can do to potentially, make some connections. Maybe we can get something rolling in your school, if you're hearing this and you're not part of that arrangement already.
Cool.
And a comment from Corey that actually is a really great point. We're talking about all these big events and big sponsors and big names and like all this cool stuff. Corey's asking, if you get a booth, can you sell product direct to the customer, or do you have to go through a retailer? And the cool thing is there is so many of these different mom and pop or small companies, small business people that do come to this event. And that's part of what makes it awesome.
You're absolutely right. As great as it is to have these awesome partners like Daiwa or St. Croix Rod or some of these big national brands, and we love them, and they're super great partners, and they certainly draw people in. I think to your point, some of this stuff that the only place you can get it is to come to an expo. We actually have some vendors that do not even have Facebook pages, that do not even have websites, that I'm talking small, tiny, micro businesses, people that are literally starting out. And whether it's, hand poured plastics or they come up with some, some cool idea about, fixing X or Y or Z or making your fishing life better. This is the type of gathering where those folks come together, where they get their start. And maybe next year they've got an e-commerce site and things like that, but they literally are getting their start off here. And that's one of the reasons why we have booths in a variety of sizes and price ranges, because we want to encourage that sort of innovation. It's important for the sport. It's great for those little vendors. And it's an awesome reason to come to the show, because you can't necessarily find everything on the interwebs. Sometimes you got to come out and literally meet these guys when they're just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you're talking about, vendors that maybe don't even have a Facebook page. And I have to laugh because I wasn't going to bring up this story because I feel like I almost don't have enough information, but that's what makes it awesome, because that's just what you're saying. There is, well, and earlier you referenced, there's a bunch of different organizations that come and, maybe a veteran organization or whatever it is, but there is always a booth that's there, and it's always on kind of one of the end caps, maybe even towards like the office, kind of the office area. So if you know what I'm talking about, but what they sell is these like
floating minnow baskets.
But it is like a totally homemade device. It's like literally like stapled together. It is my favorite thing in the world. And I maybe more than once have asked this individual, like, if I could do a video with him to share this. And I have been amicably told no, because that's it. This is an expo thing and you just have to run into these people. You will not find them online. They don't have a phone number to call. They don't put their information out there. But let me tell you what, every single time my boat hits the water, that little minnow net is floating in my live well in case I need to use it. And it's the best one I've ever found.
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of times Emily agree to disagree on a lot of fishing stuff. We just have different fishing styles, right? And that's okay. And that makes our boat an adventure. But I will tell you what, we have an Alumacraft, and it came with one of the long yellow minnow things.
Like
that's
a mesh thing.
the mesh bag. I'm not going to say any names, but we took it out and we threw this floating box in there because it works way better.
So much better.
I know exactly the vendor you're talking about. It's TL Travel Flow. And his name is Tom, and he, I believe, is a Navy veteran. He is the salt of the earth. He comes up from down in Illinois, in the Chicago area. I've actually exhibited at other shows with him for some of our agency clients, and Tom is just a great guy, and he's got awesome products. And what's amazing is when you talk about, well, are they really good or not? I have seen him sell trailer loads of them to outfitters and guides from all over the country who meet him at these shows, and they get like their stash because they're literally using them. And, and I think you guys would agree, when you see an outfitter or a guide that's using stuff, that's the old thumbs up, right? Because those guys aren't messing around. They're not buying stuff that doesn't work. And what a it should be like guide approved. It should have like a stamp on it or something. But it's a perfect example of a vendor that is they're just old school. He does shows, and that's what he does, and he makes an awesome product, and it's a great price, and he's a vet. It's a great story all the way around, and a perfect example. Absolutely.
Well, and the only place I ever have gotten to run into him is this Wisconsin Fishing Expo in Madison. And so I'm always like, ooh, I wonder if I need a new minnow net. And it's like, I don't really, but maybe.
You probably don't need a new one, because the one he sold you 5 years ago is still working.
It's still holding up.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd wear that stuff out, but it's a perfect spotlight and an example. And there are several others just like that. And that's one of the things that makes an event like this special.
Well, and that brings us to a really good point, is that we're talking about all the stuff this is all the first level. There's still another upstairs to go to. And that's one of my favorites, because that's the art area. So you just go up the stairs, and it's to your left, and the art people fluctuate who's there and who's not. Like, we got these ones at a show a few years ago from our buddy Skyler. He's doing better. He's dealing with some hand issues, so he's a little backlogged. But that was one of his starts, and now he has so much business. He's like, I'm having trouble keeping up, but that's awesome. A good thing. And he makes some beautiful stuff. There's other people that make like yard sculpture to like t-shirt art, all kinds of stuff. It's really cool up there.
That is one of the things that we changed this year, because some of our marine sets got a little smaller. So we've all heard about inventory concerns and things like that. And boy, you wouldn't think there'd be an inventory concern based on the number of boats that I see that are coming in, but we reset the floor. And so it allowed us the opportunity to bring those vendors downstairs. So now I've got those artists sprinkled all around in the various aisles and rows, partly to bring them some additional exposure and partly to help, keep everybody's traffic flow really, really, full all the time. Skylar didn't choose to join us again this year, but we do have a couple new ones that are really amazing. There's a gal named Laura that's going to be right in the center aisle that just and she's from the Madison area. I saw her artwork in like a national fishing e-newsletter or something, and I sent her an invitation and she took us up on it. So we're super excited to see her bring her stuff. And then we have, to your point, a number of the other partners that have been with us forever, and some of the groups like Preston Nets or the Fly Tying Group and like Sparta Travel. We've kept some of those adjacencies together too. So we kind of got our little fly fishing village. They're over in the east-west corridor now. And so as we made those adjustments, we tried to keep it good and yet sprinkle them around using our, the theory that we've always have. You won't walk down any aisle and it's all travel. You won't or walk down an aisle and it's all tackle. We, unlike some shows, we want you to walk the whole thing. And so every aisle you walk down, there should be a variety of things to the point where you really got to be looking back and forth to make sure you catch it all.
No, that's super awesome. I'm very excited to see the new layout because, we were always pushing people upstairs just because the art installation upstairs is really fun. But to have it intermingled with everything is going to make it even more fun because I think a lot of those artists, especially the local ones, are pretty unknown. But then, like an event like this, like you could be waiting for a year for a print. So, it would be cool to get them some more exposure and see what they got this year.
Yeah, we have continually, I can't tell you how many times I have to tell gutter companies or window companies or stuff like that. Yeah, no, sorry, we're not going to roll like that. But it is awesome to be able to offer the fishing lifestyle, right? Or the maritime lifestyle. And so some of these, extended vendors, particularly art and cabin decor community, really bring a different flair. It's super awesome to look at rods and reels and boats, but it's also cool, just like in the background right behind you guys there. I mean, we all have that sort of stuff. And what a great way to expose, to your point, that portion of the art community that's so dedicated to our pursuits, to have them be able to intermingle with us and maybe expose people to something they didn't even know was available.
Yeah. So after all of these things that we've been talking about, I know that there's people getting excited for all of this. So I was hoping that we could do some talking logistics. So I'm thinking about people showing up. There's a hotel attached, right? So that's awesome. I think that's where we are lucky enough to stay. But for those of us that are not lucky enough to walk down the hallway or whatever, can you tell us about the parking situation?
Yeah, there is I think it's 5,800 spots around the Alliant Energy Center Expo Hall. So that's not quite 6,000. So we've never topped out the parking, knock on wood. But
I was going to say, you better carpool with your friends.
Yeah. And that's an excellent point. The county does charge, I believe it's $7 or $8. So this is definitely the kind of thing where you want to meet your friends at the park and ride and bring one car in, bring a Suburban, because it costs the same to park a Suburban as it does to park that little 4.2 that there's only two of you in. This is the day to bring the big truck and bring all your friends together in one ride. Sorry, folks, we don't control the parking. That's a county thing. But so the parking is easy. And because it's all literally wrapped right around the facility, you shouldn't have more than, maybe half a block or something that you have to walk. And it looks like we're actually going to get a pretty nice break in the weather. I think we're going to get some fluffy snow tonight, but otherwise, it should be a pretty decent, weekend of February weather. Not too cold, not too warm, not too sunny, not too nasty. And so, hopefully that'll encourage people to come out and give us a look.
And then as far as people coming into the expo itself, so we were talking about being family friendly. Can people bring like backpacks or strollers? Is there mask mandates? Can you tell us, can we bring water bottles?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd never had the backpack question before about 48 hours ago. I've done this. And so I actually had to check with the Alliant, and they don't have a rule. They do in the Coliseum. But we don't use the Coliseum. That's a quarter mile down the road in the sprawling Alliant Energy grounds. They do the fair here and everything else. But in the facility that we use, no backpack requirement. Now, I guess if we have somebody that's got this huge Sherpa pack or something, might end up having I'll have to send Crappie Junction to follow them or something to see what they got going on in there. But short of that, I would say there's no backpack restrictions, no water bottle restrictions. And the masking thing, I'm glad you brought that up. So by the rule, Dane County still has a mask rule in effect. It expires the day after our show is over. There are numerous exemptions to that rule. And I would say that people need to take a look at those exemptions and see if they fall into them. The rule is nearly expired. We, as a show promoter, do not have the power, the ability to police this. And I frankly have been told by the Alliance Center they don't have the bandwidth to be able to enforce it. So people are going to have to make their own decisions on what's right for them in terms of their masking situation. There will be signs on the door. We will have free masks for those that wish them, as well as hand washing stations. But in terms of whether you need to mask or not, I think that's going to be up to each person's individual discretion.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as coming to the expo, what else should I be asking about?
Well, I would suggest for most people, if you're planning on coming, and I certainly hope that you are, I would take a look at our website and take a look at the seminar lineup first, because that might adjust your day or as much as I'd love everybody to come 2 or 3 days in a row, I know that's not always possible depending on what your weekend plans are. So I would start that way, to be frank. Take a look at that seminar schedule, see what is the absolute must not miss for you or your family, and then plan around that a little bit. Of course, the peak time, the busiest time of the whole show is generally between about 11 and 2:30 or 3 o'clock on Saturday. Times outside of that can be a little bit looser and lighter if you prefer not to hit maximum crowds. Friday night is always a great time because it takes a little while, for everything to get spun up. Some people that want to do like 9 to 7, then the short from 3 to 8 on Friday may not appeal to them. So that's a good time to come in too. But usually for most people, I think that they're probably driven around a seminar or two that they want to hit, and then they're going to do all of the other stuff in and around that. Prize Patrol is continuous and ongoing. Fish Bingo is limited to the first 500 kids each day, 12 or under. So if you're coming on Saturday and it was really important for your kids to do Fish Bingo, might want to choose the first half of the day as opposed to the second half, just because we'd hate to have you be number 521, because we won't have a bingo card for you because we'll need them for the next day. But I think that would be how I would go around planning my experience. I would use our website, or if people want, they're watching this, so they're on Facebook. We've had postings for all the seminars as well, and you can roll back in the feed and see what looks good to you there as well.
And that's exactly what I was going to remind people is of that social media, because we will be there and we'll be posting all kinds of videos and bringing you as much of the show as we possibly can throughout the weekend. So if there's specific things that you guys want to see, let us know what that is. Otherwise, we're going to be bringing you as much as we possibly can. Again, that will be on the Wisconsin Fishing Expo Facebook page. Mm-hmm. Check us out there. We might sneak a few updates onto the Crappie Junction group. So we'll see how that goes. But can you remind us one more time about what the website is?
Sure. wifishingexpo.com is our website. Obviously, you found our Facebook page probably, or if you haven't, just look up Wisconsin Fishing Expo. All of the information is there. And I'll make a prediction that you will not be hearing from Crappie Junction on Monday or Tuesday next week, because we are going to wear them out.
We'd like to see you try.
Well, and funny story, we do every Tuesday a webcast anyway, so that will happen, but we'll see the condition of
Sorry,
if I have a voice yet. Josh is getting the expo link into the comments. So was wifishingexpo.com. Yeah, looks good to me.
Okay. Sending it.
Sending it. So if you are at home and checking out the comments, that will be easy for you to just click on. Go and check that out and save that into your phone so you have that, all that information ready to go for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we are excited to see you guys there. So if you are coming down, make sure to come and say hi to us if you see us, because we love that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's our favorite.
And Don, we are excited to see you as well. So that's going to be really quick here coming up. So I can't wait for that. And thanks so much for being on the show with us tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was great chatting you, and we'll see you in the morning.
Yeah. And to everybody at home, hopefully we'll see you guys all tomorrow as well. Unless you're from too far away, then hopefully we see you on social media. And if nothing else, we appreciate you joining us here tonight and looking forward to seeing you on next week's edition of The Night Bite.